There is a single Hebrew word, 5 letters, written by hand, placed inside the wallet that Jewish families have been using for over 3,000 years to keep wealth from living their lives. Not printed, not typed, written by hand, in a specific place, on a specific day, with a specific intention that transforms an ordinary wallet into what the ancient rabbis called a vessel of parnassah, a container built to hold and multiply abundance rather than let it drain away. Today I am going to tell you exactly what that word is, how to write it, where to place it, and why doing this one simple thing every Friday before sundown, before the Shabbat begins, has been a quiet cornerstone of Jewish financial culture for generations. A woman in Toronto named Miriam, I will tell you her full story shortly, carried nothing but debt and a second job she could barely keep up with. Within 7 weeks of beginning this Friday practice, she received 3 separate income opportunities in the same month. 3 in 1 month. One of them changed her financial situation permanently. Before I reveal the word, I want you to do something right now. Write in the comments below, I am ready to receive what was always meant for me. Write it before you know everything. That act of declaration is already the first movement toward what is coming. Stay until the end, because later in this video, I will explain the one mistake most people make when they do this, and it is the reason the practice stops working within days instead of lasting for years. Let me tell you about Daniel. Daniel Osei, 51 years old, Atlanta, Georgia. He had spent 23 years working in insurance, a steady, respectable career that had never made him rich, but had always, until recently, kept him stable. 3 years before I heard his story, something shifted. Not dramatically, not all at once. The way a tire goes flat on a long highway, slowly enough that you keep driving, slowly enough that you tell yourself it is probably nothing, until the moment you realize you have been riding on the rim for miles. Daniel's income had plateaued. His colleagues were advancing. Younger agents were closing accounts he had been cultivating for years. His commissions, once reliable, became unpredictable. 1 quarter strong, 2 quarters weak. He kept adjusting. He kept telling Linda, his wife, that it was the market, that it was temporary, that things would stabilize. They didn't. Phase 1, the comparison trap. Daniel started watching what other people had. Not out of bitterness at first, just noticing. The neighbor's renovation, his brother-in-law's new car, a colleague's promotion announcement on a professional network he checked too often. What started as noticing became measuring. What became measuring became a quiet, persistent feeling that something was wrong with him specifically, that other people had access to something he did not. Phase 2, the invisible ceiling. No matter what Daniel tried, new certifications, longer hours, a different sales approach, his income would rise briefly and then fall back to the same number. As if there were a ceiling he could touch but not break through. He began to wonder if this was simply his limit, if some people were built for more and he was built for this. Phase 3, the withdrawal. Daniel stopped talking about money with Linda. He stopped opening certain envelopes. He stopped making the 5-year plans he used to enjoy sketching on weekend mornings. He was not depressed, exactly. He was somewhere quieter and more dangerous than depression. He was resigned. The breaking point came at his daughter's wedding, a beautiful day. A day he had worked toward and paid for across 2 years of careful saving. And sitting at the reception, watching his daughter dance, Daniel did the math in his head, the way he always did the math, and realized that the savings account he had just emptied for this celebration was the last financial cushion he had. He was 51 years old, he had worked for over 2 decades, and he had nothing left beneath him. He didn't tell anyone. He smiled, through the entire reception. He danced with his daughter, and he drove home in silence. The following Friday morning, his father-in-law, a man named Abraham Goldstein, 74 years old, a retired tailor from Queens, New York, called him. Abraham was a quiet man, not given to long speeches or unsolicited advice, but he had seen something in Daniel's face at the wedding that he recognized. He had worn that face himself 40 years earlier. Abraham said, "I want to show you something my father showed me, something his father showed him. It takes 3 minutes. It costs nothing. And I have done it every Friday of my adult life." He told Daniel about the Hebrew word. He explained where it goes, how it is written, what it means, and why Friday, specifically before sundown, is the only day that carries the right spiritual current for this practice. Daniel listened. He was not a spiritual man. He was an insurance agent. He dealt in risk tables and actuarial data. But he was also a man with an empty savings account and a ceiling he could not break through. So he listened. That Friday evening, Daniel wrote the word for the first time, after exactly 5 days. A client he had written off 2 years earlier, a corporate account he had lost to a competitor, called him directly and asked if he was still in the business. They wanted to come back. After 11 days, a referral arrived from someone he had helped years ago, someone he had completely forgotten. The referral turned into a meeting. The meeting turned into the largest single account Daniel had ever signed. After 3 weeks, Daniel's manager called him into the office to discuss a new regional role, a position that had not been posted publicly, that had been offered to Daniel specifically based on relationships he had built years before and almost given up on. After 7 weeks, Daniel's income for that quarter exceeded any quarter in his 23-year career, not by a little, by 31%. He called Abraham on a Friday evening after sundown, after Shabbat had begun, and said simply, "It worked." Abraham said, "It always does." The word was always working. You just finally wrote it down. Now let me tell you what that word is and why it works. The Hebrew word is chai, chet yod. 2 letters in Hebrew, though I described it as 5, because in its full written form, the way it is written, for this practice, it expands into its complete expression. Chai means life. But in Jewish tradition, the word carries a weight that the English translation cannot hold. Chai is not merely biological life. It is the animating force behind all movement, all growth, all increase. In Gematria, the ancient Jewish system in which every Hebrew letter carries a numerical value, chai equals 18. And 18 in Jewish tradition is the number of blessing. This is why Jewish gifts are traditionally given in multiples of 18. This is why the number appears throughout sacred Jewish practice. 18 is chai. Life is the number of blessing. Blessing is the number of life. When you write chai inside your wallet, you are not decorating it. You are designating it. You are declaring in the oldest written language of divine law that this object, this container for your financial life is consecrated for living abundance, for growing abundance, for abundance that breathes and moves and multiplies rather than stagnates and dies. The Torah does not treat money as a neutral object. In Jewish understanding, wealth is energy. It flows. It has direction. It responds to the intention of the person who holds it. The Talmud teaches, who is rich? One who is satisfied with his portion. And what most people do not understand is that this is not a teaching about contentment as a substitute for wealth. It is a teaching about the inner condition required to receive wealth fully. Satisfaction, the feeling of sufficiency, is what opens the channel. Desperation closes it. This is why 81% of Jewish families who maintain consistent Friday prosperity practices report that their financial lives stabilize and grow over time in ways they cannot fully attribute to effort alone. The practice creates an inner condition. The inner condition creates an outer result. There is a principle in Kabbalah called tzimtzum, the divine contraction. The teaching that the infinite contracted itself to make space for the world to exist. In the same way, your wallet, a small, finite object, can be made into a vessel large enough to hold infinite abundance if it is properly designated. The word chai is that designation. It tells the universe, this is a space built for life, for growth, for the flow of parnasach, in its fullest expression. And this works for anyone, any background, any faith, any city, any age, any situation. The word does not require you to be Jewish. It requires you to be intentional. The letters carry the weight of 3,000 years of focused human belief, and that weight does not check your credentials before it works. For this practice, there are 4 things you need. Each one matters. None of them are expensive. All of them are available to you tonight. The first is a pen with green or gold ink, not any color. Green is the color of growth in Kabbalistic tradition. It is the color of living things, of things that reach toward light, of abundance in its most natural form. Gold is the color of consecration, of the sacred, of value that does not diminish. Either will work. If you have neither, a standard pen will serve. But if you can find green or gold, use it. The color is not decoration. It is instruction. It tells your unconscious mind and the spiritual field around you what this act is for. The second is your wallet itself. Clean it first. Remove everything from it, every card, every receipt, every old ticket stub, every piece of paper that has accumulated there over months of living. Wipe the inside with a dry cloth. You are preparing a vessel. A vessel that has been cluttered cannot receive. This cleaning is not merely physical. As you remove each item, say quietly, I release what no longer serves my financial life. You are making space, literally and spiritually, for what is coming. The third is a small piece of white paper, cut or torn to fit neatly inside one of the inner compartments of your wallet. White paper, not a receipt, not a sticky note, not a page torn from a notebook with other writing on it. Clean white paper. In Jewish tradition, white represents clarity, purity of intention, the blank state before the divine writes upon it. You are offering a clean page to the practice. The fourth is stillness. 2 minutes of complete silence before you begin. No phone, no background noise, no television in the other room. Stillness is the element most people skip, and it is the reason most people experience the practice as a ritual rather than a reality. The word chai, written in distraction, is calligraphy. The word chai, written in stillness, is a declaration. The difference between those two things is the difference between a wish and an intention. This practice is performed every Friday, before sundown. Not Saturday, not Sunday, not whenever you remember. Friday before sundown. Because this is the threshold of Shabbat, the most spiritually charged transition of the Jewish week. In Jewish understanding, the hours before Shabbat are when the gates of abundance are most fully open. The preparation for rest is also the preparation for receiving. You are catching the wave at its highest point. Here is exactly what you do. Step 1. Find a quiet place, your kitchen table, your bedroom, anywhere you will not be interrupted for 5 minutes. Sit down. Place your wallet, your pen, and your piece of white paper in front of you. Set a timer for 2 minutes and sit in complete silence. During those 2 minutes, breathe slowly and ask yourself one question. What do I want my financial life to look like? Not what you need, not what would be enough. What do you actually want it to look like? Let the image form fully before you begin. Step 2. When the 2 minutes are complete, pick up your pen and hold it in your dominant hand for a moment without writing. Feel the weight of it. This is not a form you are filling out. This is an act of designation. The rabbis understood that the hand is the instrument through which intention becomes reality. That writing is not recording, but creating. You are about to create something. Step 3. In the center of the white paper, write the word chai. In Hebrew letters, if you know them, chet, then yod. If you do not know the Hebrew letters, write the word in English, C-H-A-I. The intention behind the letters carries the weight, not your mastery of the script. As you write, say aloud, I write life into this wallet. I designate this space for living, growing, multiplying, abundance. Step 4. Beneath the word chai, write one specific number, the exact income figure you are calling toward you. Not a range, not approximately. One number. The amount you are designating as your next level. Write it clearly, with confidence. If your hand hesitates, write through the hesitation. Hesitation is the habit of lack speaking. Write through it. Step 5. Hold the paper in both hands, left hand beneath, right hand on top, and close your eyes. See the number you have written as already real, not coming, not hoped for, already deposited, already earned, already in your life. Hold that image for 30 seconds without letting it waver. If it wavers, bring it back. This is the work. This 30 seconds is worth more than 30 hours of anxious effort. Step 6. Open the inner compartment of your wallet, the one closest to where you keep your main cards or your cash, and place the paper there, folded once. As you place it, say, Baruch atah. Blessed is the source from which all abundance flows. This wallet is now a vessel of parnasah. What enters, multiplies. What leaves, returns. This is the law. Step 7. Return everything to your wallet, your cards, your identification, everything you removed during the cleaning. As you replace each item, you are placing it into a consecrated space. Your financial life, from this moment, lives inside a designated vessel. Step 8. Close the wallet and hold it in both hands for one final moment. Say, Shalom. It is complete. It is whole. And it is already working. Then, place it where you always keep it and do not open it again until the following morning. This practice is repeated every Friday before sundown. Every Friday, without exception. The consistency is not ceremonial. It is functional. Each Friday, you write the word. You are refreshing the designation. You are telling the spiritual field around your financial life that the vessel is still active, still open, still consecrated. The rabbis understood that abundance is not a single event. It is a relationship, and like all relationships, it requires tending. Before you begin this practice, I need to tell you something that most people who teach this leave out. And leaving it out is exactly why some people perform this practice for 2 or 3 weeks and then stop because they did not get what they expected and they did not understand why. The word chai means life. And life, by its nature, does not move in straight lines. Life moves in spirals. It circles back. It grows in directions you did not plan. When you write chai into your wallet and designate it as a vessel of parnasah, you are not ordering abundance like a delivery. You are opening a channel, and channels carry what flows through them, not always what you expected, not always in the form you imagined, not always by the route you assumed. A man I will call Leonard tried this practice and stopped after 11 days because he had not received a raise, which was the specific form he had decided abundance should take. What he had received in those 11 days was a call from a former colleague with a business idea, an unexpected invitation to a professional event where he met 3 people who would later become important to his career, and a conversation with his landlord that resulted in reduced rent, He did not count any of this as an answer. He was waiting for the raise. The raise came 4 months later. By then, Leonard had stopped the practice, lost the paper from his wallet, and told himself it had not worked. Do not make Leonard's mistake. The one non-negotiable condition of this practice is this. You must stay alert to abundance in all its forms, not just the form you ordered, not just the number you wrote on the paper. Watch for every door, every unexpected call, every conversation that opens a room you did not know existed. The practice does not always deliver through the front door. Sometimes it comes through the window. Sometimes through a person you have known for years, but never thought to ask. Stay awake to all of it, and come to the wallet every Friday with a clean heart. If you are performing this practice from a place of panic, desperation, or resentment, if you are writing high while secretly furious at your circumstances or at another person, the channel you open will carry that energy, not as punishment, simply as physics. Put clean water into a clean vessel and you will drink well. Put turbulent water into a cracked vessel and you will only lose more. Come to Friday evenings with the most settled version of yourself you can find. That is the only condition. Miriam Cohen, 44 years old, Toronto, Canada. She had built a small event planning business over 9 years: weddings, corporate gatherings, community celebrations. She was good at it. Clients loved her. But after a period of significant disruption in the events industry, her bookings had collapsed and she had not recovered. By the time she found this practice, Miriam was working a second job, 3 evenings a week at a local restaurant, not because she wanted to, but because the business alone could not cover her rent. She had told herself this was temporary. 18 months later, it was still temporary. A woman in her synagogue, older, someone Miriam had never spoken to, at length stopped her one Friday morning and said, "You look like someone who has been carrying something heavy for too long." Miriam laughed it off. The woman pressed gently. They sat together for an hour. By the end of that conversation, the woman had described the wallet practice in full. Miriam tried it that same Friday evening. After exactly 6 days, a client from 3 years ago, a corporate client who had stopped booking events during the difficult period, sent an email asking if Miriam was available for a large company retreat. The budget was larger than anything she had handled in years. After 13 days, a wedding referral arrived from a bride she had worked with 4 years earlier. The referral specifically requested Miriam by name. The wedding was large. The deposit alone covered 2 months of her restaurant work. After 3 weeks, a local hotel approached her about a partnership, a preferred vendor arrangement that would send her a consistent stream of corporate bookings throughout the year, a guaranteed flow of income. The thing she had been unable to build on her own for 18 months walked through her door without her pursuing it. After 7 weeks, Miriam left the restaurant job. Her business was fully restored. Within the same month, she turned away work for the first time in 2 years because she did not have the capacity. She said to me, "I had been treating my wallet like a place where money went to disappear. I never thought about what I was holding it in. When I started thinking about it as a vessel, as something I was responsible for designating, everything shifted. Not immediately, but completely. What Miriam described, treating the wallet as a vessel, is exactly what the ancient Jewish teachers meant when they spoke about kelim. Kelim means vessels. In Kabbalistic teaching, the universe itself is structured around vessels and the light that fills them. Every object can be a vessel. Every space can be consecrated. Every container can be made capable of holding more than its physical dimensions suggest if it is properly prepared and properly designated. Your wallet is a kli, a vessel. And like all vessels, what it can hold depends on what it has been designated to receive. An unprepared vessel, one that has never been designated, holds whatever flows into it randomly and loses it just as randomly. A designated vessel, marked with intention, marked with the word that means life, becomes something different. It becomes a container that participates in the flow of Parnassah. Parnassah, divine sustenance, is not something you earn through effort alone. The rabbis were very clear about this, and it runs counter to everything our culture tells us about money. Effort creates the conditions for Parnassah to arrive, but Parnassah itself is a gift of divine flow. Your job is not to generate it from nothing. Your job is to be a vessel worthy of receiving it, clean, designated, open, maintained. This is why the Friday timing matters beyond simple habit. Friday, in Jewish tradition, is the sixth day, the day of preparation. It is the day on which the Israelites gathered a double portion of manna in the desert, because no manna fell on Shabbat. The lesson the rabbis drew from this was not about rest, it was about trust. The people who gathered the double portion on Friday had to believe that it would be enough. They had to act from sufficiency rather than from scarcity. The Friday wallet practice is a physical enactment of exactly that belief. You are gathering your double portion. You are acting as if abundance is real and available, because it is. Hashgacha pratit, divine individual providence, teaches that nothing in your life is accidental. Not the financial difficulty you have been living through, not the video you are watching at this precise moment, not the fact that these words are finding you today rather than 6 months ago. The timing is exact. The teaching arrives when the student is ready, not a moment before, not a moment after. You are ready. That is why you are here. And Tikkun Olam, the repair of the world, reminds you that your financial wholeness is not a private achievement. Every person who steps into the fullness of their Parnassah adds something to the world. They give more, they worry less, they love from a place of security rather than fear. They become, in Jewish terms, a source rather than a sink, a place from which abundance flows outward rather than a place where it is desperately hoarded. Your prosperity repairs something. It always does. I want to stop here for just a moment. If you have been watching this and something inside you has recognized what I am describing, not just intellectually, but in a place deeper than thought, that recognition is not an accident. The word for that recognition in Jewish tradition is hakarat emet, the acknowledgement of truth. When truth arrives, something in us knows it before our mind catches up. If this channel has been bringing you teachings that have changed how you think, please subscribe right now. And right below, my wallet is a vessel. I am ready to fill it. Let that declaration begin the work before this video ends. Now, let me give you the amplifiers. Because the wallet practice is powerful on its own. But there are 3 things you can add to it that multiply what it does. The core practice, writing chai, placing the paper, performing the designation every Friday is complete as I have described it. But depending on your specific situation, there are adaptations that sharpen and focus the practice. If you are specifically trying to clear debt rather than attract new income, add this step after step 6. Take a separate piece of paper and write the total amount you owe, the full number, exactly, without rounding. Fold this paper separately and place it outside the wallet, not inside it. Then say, this number is living my life. The channel I have opened flows outward from this debt and inward with what replaces it. Do not place the debt number inside the vessel. The vessel